In many of my previous podcasts, I did mention the phrase survival mechanism. Today and in the future episodes, we are going to dive deeper into it. You may have heard that all living creatures are born with survival mechanism. You and I are also born with it. But our mechanism is way different from animals. Our survival on this planet Earth without it would be impossible. It is the primary mechanism that helps us safeguard our bodies. And in today's podcast, you will gain more clarity and understanding of how chaos and survival mechanism impacts us in our lives. To gain better clarity and understanding of this topic, I recommend you reading my book, Stop Surviving, Start Living with Freedom. Before we proceed further, a word of caution. Most people are not aware of their survival mechanism and how it operates and governs our lives. Even parents are clueless about their own survival mechanism and how the process unfolds. It is the chaos around us that compels us to function and make decisions in certain ways. All of it happens unconsciously without our knowledge and awareness. As I conduct my sessions, I notice a fascinating pattern among my clients. They exhibit unique traits, behaviors, communication styles, and ingrained beliefs that were similar to certain individuals, while others display diversity in their conduct and thought patterns. This sparked my curiosity to understand the reason behind their action and thought processes, leading me to ask questions such as why they operate differently from others and what motivates them to behave the way they do. These behaviors were more clearly noticeable in couples with diverse thinking patterns. Their verbal and nonverbal communication styles, as well as their core beliefs, set them apart. Why could they not behave and believe the way their partners would? What set them apart? It was challenging for them to perceive from their spouse's perspective. As I examined deeper into this observation, I discovered numerous individuals who shared these intriguing traits. This led me to wonder about the origin of their behavioral patterns. It was this very journey of exploration and understanding that culminated in my first book, Stop Surviving, Start Living with Freedom, which offers profound insight into this complex system. What is a survival mechanism? In the animal kingdom, the young ones of all species embarked on a crucial journey to learn the art of self-preservation. They typically hide until they are capable of facing the world on their own. Humans, too, possess an innate mechanism that guides them through this critical phase of growth. However, due to a longer period of dependency, our survival can prove to be more challenging and vulnerable, and that almost makes it difficult to discover and see through its pattern. It's like having a different operating system like iOS for Apple, Windows for PCs, and Android for mobile devices, has its own unique calendar. While all of them can achieve the same results, the language and design used to accomplish this differ, resulting in different processing methods. The main purpose of the survival mechanism is to deal with chaos and possible dangers to preserve our body. There are 3 different mechanisms, and every one of us fall into one of these categories. They are diverse survival traits and tools for protecting us. Just like how nocturnal animals rest during the day and are active at night, while daylight animals rest at night and are active during the day, their survival strategies are uniquely different. Similarly, in humans, each group has behaviors, beliefs, communication styles, and thinking processes that is uniquely different from each other. This inborn mechanism serves a core purpose to protect our bodies from any potential harm, be it physical or psychological. Even though psychological threat may not directly inflict bodily pain, during childhood, disapproval from our parents and later from spouses and others could be perceived as a threat to our survival. Therefore, survival mechanism stands ever vigilant to protect us. Surviving the formative years becomes the key to living our lives, and thus the survival mechanism plays a vital role in this journey on Earth. Now, how does the survival mechanism get installed in us? The installation of the survival mechanism is greatly influenced by chaos. Our ability to handle chaos in our daily lives at different stages reflects our competency as adults. The emotional message parents send to the newborn about how they deal with life's challenges and chaos during conception determines what survival mechanism will get installed. This message is often communicated emotionally, unconsciously, and subtly. The parents and the child remains unaware of it. This is the trap that every one of us is born with. Although chaos is often associated with disorder and has a negative connotation, the opposite of chaos is orderliness. Both negative and positive chaos can impact a child differently. There exist three types of survival mechanism that a person can be born with: wanted child, partly wanted child, and unwanted child. Unfortunately, children have no say in choosing the survival mechanism they are born with, and unconsciously they learn to function with the one given to them. It is the chaos that the parents go through at conception that conveys the emotional message to the fetus that installs the mechanism into the child beyond their conscious awareness. In a previous podcast episode, I discussed the concept of being someone else's goal and how our purpose is instilled in us before birth. This same mechanism also plays a role in determining the child's survival mechanism, whether they are wanted, partly wanted, or unwanted. As previously stated, the parent's ability to handle chaos positively or negatively can unconsciously communicate an emotional message that impacts the fetus. This message determines which survival mechanism will be installed within the fetus. Now, let's go into the details of each category and explore how the survival mechanism is determined and installed. Wanted child. When both parents desire to have a child, the child is wanted. Just like one is saving money to purchase an apartment or a high-priced item like an iPhone or a car, one could be planning to have a child well before the child is conceived. The very desire to have a child sends the positive message. It's just like a potter wanting to create a pot with a specific shape and design in his mind. It is a consensual energy of two people in the form of sex that leads to the creation of a child. The fusion of the couple's positive emotions gives birth to a wanted child. The chaos is positive, hence the outcome is also positive. The desire to have a child prevailed in the minds of the parents even before the child could be conceptualized. The newborn is the goal, dream, aspiration, image, and a part of the parent's blueprint that comes into existence. Kumar and Sheila have been married for 5 years and have decided to start a family, which they have been planning for a while. They are financially stable and ready to welcome a child in their lives. Their eagerness and preparedness sends a positive message that they are ready to welcome a child in their life. Sheila is currently pregnant and they have prepared a new room for the baby. Their excitement has been shared with relatives and friends who are eagerly anticipating the arrival of a new addition to the family. When the baby is born, there is a grand celebration with loved ones. All this activity sends a positive emotional message to the newborn that he or she is very much desired, and everyone is looking forward to its arrival, which means the child is welcomed. Throughout the child's upbringing, he or she is treated with love and care, reinforcing the message that they are beloved and wanted child. The child unconsciously grows up feeling cherished and desired child. Partly wanted child. When one parent desires a child, but the other is unprepared or unwilling, that undecidedness gives birth to a partly wanted child. This situation is similar to a couple deciding to purchase a car. If the husband wants to buy a decent car within their budget, but the wife insists on an expensive car beyond their means, if they go with the husband's choice, he will be happy with their purchase. However, if they choose the wife's preference, The husband will be unhappy while the wife may feel a sense of accomplishment. The message in this scenario is mixed and unclear, wanted by one, unwanted by the other. Nita and Ramesh had been married for a while and already had a daughter. Nita had hoped for a son to complete their family. Giving birth to a boy would also increase her credibility within her extended family. However, she gave birth to another daughter, which was unexpected. The message received by the newborn is that I am not fully welcomed, thus partly rejected. The newborn receives a message that the mother did not want her, while the father had no complaints. Nita was disappointed because she had failed to achieve her dreams, nor could she seek validation from seniors. The infant experiences an emotional rejection, communicating that the mother does not want her, thus a partly wanted child. In another case, a woman became pregnant only 6 months after giving birth to the first child. She was not ready for another child at that time. In yet another case, a woman discovered she was pregnant when her husband had just lost his job and he was not ready to have a child. There could be many situations where the couple may encounter various chaoses in their lives that trigger negative emotions in one of them. The unborn fetus picks up that emotional message because child is part of the mother's system. Most often, the parents are unaware of messages transferred to the newborn because it is the chaos that decides the fate of the survival mechanism. Unwanted child. A developing fetus is an integral part of the mother and it experiences all the emotions the mother goes through. This connection continues till certain age after the child is born. When parents do not want a child, the emotional message reaches the fetus of being unwanted. This can happen for different reasons, but sometimes the parents feel compelled to give birth against their wishes. Now imagine a woman being sexually abused or raped, and then she is compelled to give birth to that man's child. What sort of frame of mind does she go through during her pregnancy? Throughout her pregnancy, the same negative emotions of violations are triggered that the mother, creator, does not desire to have them. What message has the child picked up? That he or she is not wanted, that the creators do not want them, and he and she is abandoned. After birth, every time the newborn cries, it triggers the same message of sexual violation in the woman that transfers negative emotions to the newborn that he or she is unwanted. One of my clients, Tina, who had a survival traits of an unwanted child, told me the following story. She said she was the fifth child and her mother wanted to abort her. When Tina grew up, she even read letters her mother had written to her aunt mentioning the termination of her pregnancy. Her aunt and others insisted that her mother should avoid the path on religious grounds. That is how Tina was born. Bina, another client who falls under the same category, told me the following story. She was born when her mother was 20 years old. Bina's mother was 19 years old, studying at the college, wanting to do further studies. Her parents insisted that she should settle down in a marriage. She got a proposal from a well-to-do family and the boy was 10 years older than her. Her parents could not resist letting go of the opportunity. Bina's mother was coaxed into getting married and she did that summer with lots of resistance and bitterness towards the parents and the boy. Here, the chaos created by Bina's mother's parents provoked negative emotions within the mother, which led to Bina's birth. Maybe the parents are not doing it intentionally, but they are caught up in their own dilemma of unforeseen chaos. When the child is born, he or she has to survive against the odd, being rejected. The parents and the child are unaware of the subtle mechanism working within them. In today's podcast, we discussed how chaos can affect our emotional energy and ultimately impact the outcome of our birth. This process is often unconscious. making it difficult to recognize the impact it has on the child being conceived. Knowing that the external factors play a role in the development of a survival mechanism raises the question of how much control we have over our lives. In future episodes, you will learn more about the survival mechanism and its working. Possibly, you will also be able to identify your core survival mechanism. To listen to more podcasts and to watch YouTube videos, please feel free to visit my website at www.livingwithfreedom.com. I also have 2 books available for purchase on various platforms: Stop Surviving, Start Living with Freedom, and The Self-Decoded. The better you know who you are and the working of your internal mechanism, the more likely you will experience joy and peace. In the upcoming podcast, you will have an opportunity to learn something new and unique. In the meantime, I encourage you to look for opportunities to express gratitude for everything around you. See you next week.